Okay, recording has just started. So good morning, everybody. So I sent a video last night about AWS CLI. So if you did not get time to look at that, not a big deal. We'll cover it anyway today. Um, we'll do it briefly again. So not a big deal. So first thing I wanted to start with today is about IAM, Identity and Access Management. So I wanted to So let's go to services, identity and access management. I covered it very briefly, I think in the last class or a couple of classes back. So essentially, identity and access management is all about users, groups, policies, roles, etc. So this is where you can define your users. You can create the new users. I told you guys in yesterday's video that there are two kinds of users. I mean, one user can have both, but typically you have two kinds of users. One kind of users are human users who would like to log into your AWS management console and then you and then access certain AWS resources. The other type is programmatic access. So the difference between two is that the regular users will have a username and password, and the programmatic access users will have a access ID and secret access key. So that's the difference between those two. So, and this is how your IAM dashboard looks like. And this is typically recommended as soon as you create it. I highly recommend, as I mentioned in the previous lectures, delete your root access keys. Yes, I deleted it. And activate multi-factor authentication on your root account. I told you what it means. You can use your Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator. In addition to password, there is a second level of, you will get the, few digits number on your Microsoft Authenticator app or Google Authenticator app in your phone, and then you'll have to enter. So it's a combination of password and something else. Or you can use your RSA token, the actual device itself, the physical device, you can do that. And create individual IAM users. So please do not use root account, okay, because root account can do everything under the sun. So it's not recommended. Create individual IAM users and assign the appropriate policies to your users, and then use those accounts to access your AWS resources. And then the next one is use groups to assign permissions. So let's talk about a concept called permission here. Let's go to users, groups, and then I want to look at the policies. So let's look at the policies here. So policy is nothing but a JSON document that tells, what you can and cannot do with that particular policy. If I assign that policy to a user or a group, I hope you understand what a group is. Group is nothing but a logical entity. You're grouping set of people, and then you can assign policies directly to the group so that everybody in the group will get it. So let's take a look at EC2, for example. Amazon EC2 full access. So what this policy says is that, so you are allowing all EC2 actions on all the EC2 resources. Essentially, that's what you're doing here. And also, if I give this policy, you'll be able to do everything on elastic load balancing, everything on CloudWatch, everything in auto scaling, okay? And then create service linked role. You'll be able to do everything. So you can create your own policy. These are all the policies that AWS is giving it to you, but you can create a policy. Let's say you have an S3 bucket. There are a couple of S3 buckets for your HR department that you created it. You want all the HR department people to have a full access only on those buckets. Obviously, Amazon will not have a predefined policy for that. So you can go ahead and create a policy. So let's start with this one. First, let's go ahead and create a new user. Let me show you that. So I don't have any users. I'll create a user. Let's say HR user 1. Yeah. And I want this person to have AWS Management Console access. Obviously, when you do this, when you select this AWS Management Console access, then obviously you'll have to assign a password. That password can be auto-generated password or custom password. So you can give a password. Let me assign a password. So user must create a new password at next sign in. I'm saying no. And then permissions. Okay. Now it is asking me to assign certain policies to this particular user or asking me to create a user. So what I'll do, asking me to create a group. So I'm creating a new group here. I'll say human resources department. Okay. So I created this group and now I'll assign policies to this guy. Currently no users to this group. So what I'll do is I created this group. I'll select this. Tags, well, I can select tags. Tags will be used for later on if you want to look at all the pricing. Okay, you'll be able to use it, but I'm not doing anything right now. So I created one. So I created this HR user 1. I gave the username and password. Make sense? This is a human access. Yes.
A quick question. I mean, what is the reason for everything, all the names being lowercase?
Where here?
Yeah, here. I mean, I think previously also, I think when we were trying to create it, I think it used to say that you can't use uppercase.
Yeah. So in the username, it doesn't matter. You can use uppercase, but it doesn't matter. It's case insensitive. Your username is always case insensitive, right? Like industry standard wise.
Yeah.
Okay. Your password is case sensitive, no doubt, but your username is not case sensitive. Okay. So the bucket name is different. I think what you are referring to is S3 bucket name.
Correct.
S3 bucket name cannot have uppercases. It's mainly because it's DNS compliance. Remember I told you S3, the reason S3 buckets have to be globally unique and it follows certain naming standard is because it is giving you a DNS name.
Understood. Okay.
Okay. So it just follows the DNS standard.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. So I created a normal user here and then I will go, let's go to IAM. Let me go ahead and create one more user. Let's say now I'm creating a application user. Okay, programmatic access. So let's talk about this programmatic access. As I told you before, you can interact with these AWS services using a lot of different ways. Management console is one way. Only humans will do that, obviously. Yeah. When you talk about management console, you'll have a username and password. Now, you can use CLI, command line interface, to interact with AWS services. For that, you need a programmatic access because you'll be probably scripting them. Your application will be using it, not humans. And the other one is, I'm going to show you how you can use directly the REST endpoints. Okay, your application can directly call the REST endpoints to interact with AWS S3. So even in that case, you need a programmatic access. And you can write SDKs. Actually, AWS will give you SDKs. You can use those SDKs. Okay, SDK for Java, SDK for .NET, all the popular ones they already provide. All the popular programming languages they give you SDKs. Okay, you can use those SDKs to interact with these lot of AWS services. You'll be able to interact with AWS S3, for example, absolutely using your own programming language. So even for that, you are not a human logging in. So it's your program will be logging in. That's why you need a programmatic access. So the difference between the when you request for programmatic access, you will talk about the access key ID and secret key. So my username is, let's say, HR.
It uses ADFS, right?
What's that?
It uses ADFS token, right, on this?
ADFS, Active Directory Federation Service. Is that what you mean, right? So not necessarily. This one follows sort of OAuth standards. Okay, but internally ADFS itself follows OAuth standards. So yeah, it's all actually OAuth too. I'll show you in a second, what we do in Postman. Okay, then you'll probably understand better. So here I'm calling it as HR application user. Okay, and I'm giving a programmatic access permissions. Well, I'm not giving any permissions yet, but I want to add this application also to this human resources department. Okay, this application user is also belongs to this human resources department. I don't have any tags. Please mute yourself if you guys are not. Okay. So I'm going ahead and creating this user. Okay, now I created HR app user, and let me copy this guy, access key ID, and secret access key. Secret access key, one thing I think I did not mention in yesterday's video is that once I close this, next time when you open the user, you'll be able to see the access key ID, but you will never be able to see the secret access key. So you will have to pretty much create a new set. Okay, so it's going to show us only one time. So download your CSV. You can download your CSV and open it up. It will give you both. There you go. This is your user ID, secret access key ID, and secret access key. Okay. So go ahead and close it. We have two users that belong to one group here. And now what I want to do is, these guys belong to human resources department. So let's go to permissions. Obviously, there is no policy that I'm looking for. I don't want to give, let's say, S3 full access. S3 full access pretty much will give full access to this department, all the people under this, in this group. I don't want to do it. So I want to create a new policy, attach a policy, but I can take an S3 full access, or actually I want to give read-only access. I can do that. So I want to give read-only access, attach policy, and take a look at your policy one more time. See this one? It is giving you S3 get and S3 list on all the resources. This is the policy. Okay, now I attach this policy to the group, and there are two users in the group. So both of them have the same policy attached to it indirectly through group. I want you to know that. Okay. And the first human user will use his user ID and password, log in to the management console, and he'll be able to get S3 buckets and list all the buckets and get the contents. So he'll be able to do that. And the second user is using the programmatic access key. He can use several ways to interact with AWS services. Make sense? Okay. Any questions at this point? Or you can create a brand new policy. I will show you. At this point, we don't have any buckets, right? So let's do this one. I'll show you how to create a new policy also. But what we'll do is first, let's go ahead. Let's go to S3. If you guys don't have any questions, let's go to S3 and create a new bucket and upload a couple of files there. And I'll show you a couple of ways to interact with it. Okay. So let me go to S3. Anybody has any questions at this point? Okay. Let me go to S3 and I'll create a new bucket. In fact, why don't I do this? Currently, we created 2 users in the HR department, right? Now let's go ahead and create, I'm thinking differently now. Let's create one more user. Let's say this guy is HR admin. Okay. So he's a HR admin, HR admin app. Okay. App user, programmatic access, permissions. So I'm making this admin guy part of this group so that all the policies that are attached to this group, I will get it. Okay. I hope it makes sense. So let me copy this access key and then I can go ahead and download CSV in case I lose it. That's it. Okay. So 2 regular users have HR user 1 and HR app user. Both of them have read-only access to S3, but HR admin app at this point has read-only access also because he got those permissions through the group because I made him the group. All these 3 guys have access to the group. Now what I want to do is, but he's an admin guy, he can do anything within that, right? So what I want to do is I want to add permissions directly, not through the group. I can create an additional group called admin group and then make him member of that, or I can directly attach policy. So I will show you different. So attach existing policies directly to the user. So I will give him full access. Amazon S3 full access. Review. If you want to look at that policy, Amazon S3 full access, you can do that. See this? It's not restricted to S3 get and S3 list. It's S3 everything. So he can do everything, all sort of actions in S3 on all the resources of S3, if that makes sense. So what happened here? This particular user, admin user, he belongs to this group like anyone else, but he has been assigned an additional policy directly to him, only to him,
So
not to the group.
So anything that is assigned to the group, but individual access is override the group policies.
It's a combination, right? Whatever he is getting from the group plus whatever he's getting directly that's assigned. If you combine both of them, then obviously you will get full access on S3. Does it make sense?
Okay, so it's not override, it's a combination of both.
It's a combination.
Okay, so if somebody is part of the admin, he has all the right and okay, got it. Okay, thank you.
Yep. So maybe a good production use case could be to have a separate group called HR admins. Maybe may not be only one person. So create a new group called HR admins and then assign some policies to that group and then make this guy member of that group. That's probably the right way to do it. Make sense? The reason I did it this way, I started with by going to S3, and then I wanted to create a new bucket, right? I do not want to create a new bucket through Amazon Management Console because we already did that a lot of times, right? So let's go to CLI and create a new bucket there. I will show you. This is what I wanted to show you. And oops. Are you guys able to see it?
Yeah.
Yes, Venkat.
So I'm in this folder, say users Venkat videos, right? So what I will do is AWS. I have CLI installed here. Let me go ahead and configure it, because it was configured with a different access key ID and different secret key. So what I will do is I'll log in as a regular user. This is a regular user, right? Regular programmatic user. And then regular guy here. This is his secret key. US East 2, JSON, yeah. AWS S3 LS. Well, there are no buckets, so it's listing out, right? So now let's say I want to create a new bucket. AWS S3 make bucket is the MB, stands for make bucket. These are Unix style commands, pretty much. Okay, there's a command called move. There's a command called CP, copy command. Okay, similar to, they typically do what your Unix counterparts do it, but these are all AWS subcommands. There are a lot of subcommands like S3, EC2, etc. And then within that, there's subcommand. Within S3, make bucket, copy, sync, move, remove bucket is a RB, I believe. Okay. So let me make bucket. So what should happen now? Because I'm logged in as a regular user, will I be able to create a new bucket? When I create a new bucket, the syntax here is that you have to use this S3 : and then the fully qualified the bucket name. So you have to give the fully qualified S3 bucket name. So which is S3 : it's similar to your HTTPS, right? So S3 : let me try test. Next step 2020. Make bucket failed. S3 next step 2020, an error occurred, access denied when calling the create bucket operation. So I want you to understand this is a command line utility given by AWS, but under the hood, it's making your same REST API calls. Using this one, you are not doing all the work. Using these two, it's under the hood, it's making the same REST calls. Okay. I'll show you one of the examples how we can make that REST call to get all the buckets of an account, or to get the contents of a specific bucket. How do we get it? How can we make that REST call? Okay, the lowest level. But for all practical purposes, we will never do it. We will either use CLI or we will use SDK. Okay, so I was not able to do it. So let me go ahead and configure it. Again, now I will use this guy, HR admin, app ID. US2, JSON, yep. AWS S3 LS. Well, no buckets. So let me go ahead and create a new bucket now. AWS S3 make bucket. A new bucket must have been created. How can I verify that? I can do it in two ways. One, I'll go ahead and do the ls, and then I'll go ahead and I'll check here in my AWS. There you go. A new bucket has been created. And if you look at it, by default, it will not have any permissions, block all access, all public access off. But other than that, it did not give anything. It can be public, but it did not give any. Yeah, objects can be public. This is a by default nature of it. But using this make bucket command, you can make it restricted also. Okay. Now, I created a new bucket. Now in my local, I'm in this C users Venkat videos, right? So I have a video that I recorded last night about so I have this video called AWS-CLI-2. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy this video into S3. So AWS S3 copy from is from my local machine. So this MP4 file into S3 : / my bucket name. So what I'm trying to do is I have this file locally, copy this guy into S3 in this bucket is what I'm saying. This is a fully qualified bucket name. It's about 50 meg file and it takes a few seconds. Make sense? So you can use, let's wait for it to be finished. Okay, it's almost done. We can verify that. There you go. This is the file. Access denied, obviously, because here I'm trying to access this guy as an anonymous user, as a regular user. As an anonymous user, not even regular user. There's no user there. It's a public, but this is not a public file. We did not give public access to this guy. Make sense? So using CLI, you're able to upload it. Now do AWS S3 LS. AWS S3 LS will give you all the buckets, but I want to see the bucket contents. Okay, give me all the listings of the buckets. So what I can do is AWS S3 LS, and I can give the bucket name, the fully qualified bucket name. What is the fully qualified bucket name? This is the bucket name actually. But instead of HTTPS, I'm sorry. S3 : / I got that wrong. The bucket name. There you go. Now it gave me the listing within that bucket. So it gave me that there is an MP4 file. The file name is AWS-CLI2.mp4, and yeah. And if you want to copy this guy, so earlier we copied from our local machine into S3 bucket. If you want to so that's what we did, upload. What we just did is an upload of the local file into S3. You guys saw that, how simply I was able to do it? If you want to download that, let's do it. let's go ahead and create a new folder here. Within video, I'll create a download section. And then I'm inside download. Now what I will do is, I will use the same S3 copy command, but this time my source is S3, my destination is my local directory, my current directory. So I can use AWS S3 copy. So copy from S3 : / my bucket name / this is my object, right? And then bring it down to local. It must be downloading now. See that? The 50 meg file we just got it. Sheets, we got it. So this is how we can download file from S3. And there is another command called sync. It will sync between your local file and S3 folder. So you'll be able to sync it. Okay.
Hey Venkat,
Yes.
one quick question here. So okay, you downloaded, you uploaded, fine. So, but for example, if there are, say, every 100 files getting uploaded every day with different timestamps, but I only want to download all the files within that timestamp. Is there any wildcard or something we can use, or is that possible in this case?
You will have to write logic for that. For that, you will have to use SDK and then get all the contents, and then you get the metadata of that and find out when it was uploaded, and then based on that, you write the logic. Sky is the limit for that, right? You can write the code. You can write your own Java code, .NET code, or Python code to do that. Does it make sense? If he's giving you the complete APIs, so it's your logic, it's your business logic. He's giving you the APIs to give you everything. So tell me your use case that at any point I want to download the last 100 files. Okay, give me the files. Okay. Actually, SDK has that. Give me the files that in ascending order or descending order. Okay, in the reverse chronological order, and then you just take it, and then only.
So let me tell you the use case. I mean, I don't want. Maybe it makes sense to some of us. For example, where we got stuck is here. So we are trying to use one of the S3 bucket. The most frequent, the mid one, as a target to store our logs.
Okay.
So the logs.
Infrequently accessed one.
Sorry. Yeah. Infrequently accessed one.
Sure.
Yeah, because our policy is only to keep them for 2 weeks.
Gotcha.
So we don't really need, and hardly after 2 weeks they'll get expired. So until someone asks us, we'll get them. So in most of the case they won't.
Yes.
But again, the problem here is for some reason we have to restore them, restore the logs into that particular folder. Restore folder.
Yep.
We are able to sync it up constantly, and for example, if I want the last 10 files, I don't really want all the files.
Yep.
Only the 10 files. So usually what happens is we can always say like, okay, dot star a date.
Yep.
For example, if it's today's date, 24/10 star or sorry, 04.
Yep.
You get my point, right?
Yeah. No, I got it.
So, but I'm not able to do that, because usually in Linux commands or we can do that, like shell commands. You can do that. You can basically say, okay, I can give that wildcard and I can copy those or bring those files back
Right.
wherever I want.
So
Does it make sense to you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It does make sense. And CLI, see, you have all these tools to do everything, right? So CLI is not the right tool, Ravi, for that. Okay. The right tool is, because you have a decent custom logic there. Okay. Go with the, go for the most powerful tool out there, SDK. So with SDK, pretty much, your own Java language, if you're writing in Java, I'm saying your own Python language, if you're writing in Python, essentially, okay, under the hood, he's giving you like this. So he'll give you all the contents, you loop through it and you apply the logic and then put it out. And if you want to sort it in different buckets based on time zone, based on the sequence, absolutely, you can go bonkers with that, right? You will be able to write anything. So tell me, even with regular, shell Unix shell scripts, right? You can do decent stuff with the Unix shell scripts, but if you have to go to the next level, what do? You write, you use any generic programming languages like Java or C#, right?
Yeah, we caught. There is another powerful shell command called R3, like a sync commands. We can use that.
That's Amazon.
Command,
That's a Linux command, right?
Yeah, it's a Linux command. It can sync technically like 15, 16 terabytes of data within. We can run parallel processes.
Yep.
And for example, a 15 terabytes can.
But it does blind sync though.
Oh yeah, it is blind sync though. Yeah,
exactly.
You're right.
So if you want to apply the logic, unfortunately, you have to write that logic somewhere, and that somewhere is it's a use case for your application, is what I'm saying. So there are a couple of ways. One is you can use lambdas. So lambda is another. Actually, as I think more, lambdas may be a use case. So lambdas are but event driven. So when a new file arrives, okay, or you can have lambdas, trigger every so often, like a scheduled job, and then they can do it. You can write a lambda for that and put it out there in AWS and do it. Lambdas, I know we didn't talk about it. We'll talk, towards the end. API gateway and lambdas towards the end. But essentially, my point is you have to write the code. Make sense? So Unix is giving you all these little utilities. Are you not writing shell script on top of it to do most of your use cases? That's exactly what. So you have to write the code. Either run it, use your SDK and run it as a scheduled job, or write a simple lambda and put it out there, and then have it triggered based on the event. Absolutely. So makes sense, Ravi?
Yeah, I mean, yes, yeah. Maybe I'll need little more clarification on this, because maybe I'm not able to explain clearly, but I will again do that. Thank you.
Let's talk offline. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Venkat, I have one more question.
Yes.
So what happens if you try to download the same file again with the same name? Will it overwrite that, or will it give error like file?
So if you want to download it again,
download or upload? I mean upload, not download.
Actually, it will. So see, it's going ahead and downloading the file from S3 to your local machine, and however your local operating system behaves it.
No, I mean I'm talking about the other way, when you want to upload the file to S3.
Upload the file to S3 with the same name, huh?
Yes, because let's assume you have a log file which you want to upload.
Right.
That log file is constantly updated, right? And
right.
you're trying to upload like regularly every hour or so.
Right.
Yes.
Let's find out. Let's find out. Okay, let it run. Meanwhile, let me switch a bit and then show you another way to interact with AWS S3. Okay. So I showed you management console, I showed you CLI, and I wanted to show you another way is the lowest way of doing it using Postman. Okay, as I told you, AWS exposes all of them as RESTful services. The beauty of the whole AWS lies in this architectural principle. Pretty much all these services are exposed as a RESTful endpoint. That is the power. And you can call the RESTful endpoints using your two sets, your access key ID and secret access key. That's all. And you can call pretty much any RESTful API. So what we'll do is, let's call, this is Postman, by the way. If you guys don't know what a Postman is a piece of software that will help you test your RESTful services. Okay. It's like, see here, when I made a call here, it give me this MP4 file. Okay. Or let me do this guy. Sorry. Okay, this is my bucket. Let me upload a simple index file. Oops. Index.html. Okay. So now look at this one. This is the HTTP URL. This is the object URL. So I'll take the object URL here and I try to do a HTTP GET. Essentially what I'm saying is, give me the contents of it. Okay. Now, remember we created 2 users or 3 users. 2 users, we gave them read-only access. Let's use their access key ID and secret access key. So what we'll do is, let's go to downloads. Oh, actually I have it here in my notepad. These are the guys. So Postman. So, okay, this is my HTTP GET. And then when you make any AWS REST APIs, so it uses, as I was just mentioning to Ketan's question, under the hood, it uses OAuth 2 style authorization. So if you really look at it, click on authorization here and type is, you select the type as AWS signature here. Okay. And then it will ask you these questions. Give me the access key. My access key is this one, this guy, and this is my secret access key. Give both of them to your Postman. And then AWS region is US East 2, service name is S3, and then that's it. And let's go ahead and click on send. 200, okay, and go to body. I got it. This is my static web page. Movie trailer is here, etc. So this is my contents of the index.html that I got it. I'll go here and then click on index.html here, and I get the access denied because I made the same HTTP GET without credentials. I made a HTTP GET as an anonymous user. So this is not a public file that anyone can access it. But this guy is able to do it. Your browser is making a simple HTTP GET. Your Postman is making a same HTTP GET, but it is passing the credentials here. Your programmatic access key and secret key. Does it make sense? So if I want to find all the contents of the bucket itself, give me the buckets, then do a HTTP GET, and then go to body. There you go. It gave me the complete XML, list bucket result, contents, This is a AWS CLI 2.mp4 file that we talked about. We just uploaded it from our local machine using CLI. And okay, and then we have another content, another file here, index.html. So there are two files here. One is aws-cli 2.mp4. The second one is index.html. So if I want to get the content of this one, all you have to do is just go /index.html and you'll get the content. So what happens is Postman is doing a small trick. Let's go to authorization here. When I select authorization AWS signature here, right? So if you guys know, I mean, a lot of you are my Java students. You guys know, we talked about SOAP-based web services, RESTful web services, and what happens when you make a REST call. Okay, so here, when you put this AWS signature here, it is preparing an authorization header and sending it as part of your HTTP header. So I'll show you that. Click on this code here in Postman. And then I will copy this guy. This is a curl command. This is what it's under the hood generates it. So take a look at this curl command. Curl location request your HTTP get. You're making a HTTP get, and with these headers, and with another header, Amazon content SHA-256 date authorization header. So it is putting this authorization header. So what it's doing is it is creating a signed header using the information that you provided here, using the access key, using the secret key, using your region, service name, and all the other headers you may have it here, if you have any, and your URL. Together, it is creating a signed header and then sending it across. So once this request is sent to AWS, it will make sure your request is not tampered in transit, meaning it will rehash it. It uses something called HMAC. It's a hash-based security protocol. Okay, so yeah, with all of this, it will do it will create a new signed header and then send it across. So what I'm trying to say here is that, well, you don't need to understand what a HMAC is or any of the signed headers. You don't have to do it because it's your abstraction does it automatically for you. So in fact, you don't even have to use a tool like Postman for all intensive purposes. Either you use your CLI or you will use your SDKs. AWS provides very powerful SDKs. Then you can pretty much, that's your code. You can do anything, any kind of logic. Ravi was talking about some complicated. That's, to me, it's not complicated, but you can go to any extent. Okay, get the contents and split the contents, because it's all your rules, your code. You can do anything. AWS is providing a way for your code to access the AWS resources. What else do you need? So the power lies in this RESTful endpoints, and they don't rewrite in AWS CLI. AWS CLI is an additional layer of abstraction on top of the underlying RESTful services. So I want you to understand that. Okay, so CLI is nothing but it's a fancy way of interacting with AWS S3, but under the hood, it utilizes your RESTful services. Make sense? Oh, by the way, you can use your CLI to not only interact with S3, you will be able to create an EC2 instance using CLI. You will be able to list all of your EC2 instances. You can do a lot of things with CLI. and this is RESTful. Any questions?
Yeah, Venkat, so it's all get call only, right? No post call on that?
No, you can do a HTTP put call on that, but you'll have to, you have to give a lot more information. See, that's where CLI comes into picture. So CLI plays a decent role there. If you make a, if you want to upload an object using RESTful endpoints, you absolutely can. If you can do this here, your CLI can do that. They are using the same RESTful endpoints across all the abstractions. Does it make sense? So you can do it, but you will have to provide a lot more, like what region are you trying to do it to, and then what storage type do you want to do it? Okay. So you will have to provide your content type, you have to provide your type of the objects, everything, or whether you want to do it multi-part or not. I think they only support multi-part uploads. Okay.
Yep.
But you can do all HTTP put. You can go here. I'll show you. AWS S3. Nope. AWS REST API S3. But S3 is not the only service that uses REST. Yeah, pretty much. This one has a lot of reference in it. They use this, AWS Signature version 4. That's how they do it. Oh, actually, maybe wondering. Yeah, so the signing key is really this complicated here. Try to understand it in your own, free time. This is what your Postman does behind the scenes. It uses HMAC SHA-256 encryption. Okay, it's taking your URL, it's taking your access key and secret key, and together it creates that signing key. And then finally, it will do a hex on top of it. You don't need to understand this. I want you to know that. Okay. But if you have time, I highly recommend it. It's just for fun. It's some of the real fun cryptography algorithms. Okay. Any other questions? Oh, Murali. Oh, Kiran, can you hold your thought for 1 second? Because Murali asked a question. We started uploading it. Please hold your thought. Okay. Looks like it got overridden. It's the same object, same file. Murali,
Okay.
I answered your question practically. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
So when you asked me that question, I was equally curious. I mean, this is a natural reaction to it, but I wanted to test it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Kiran.
So we have AWS SDK or something you said.
Yes.
So is that another service or?
So AWS SDK is the most powerful way. Actually, most of you here are Java developers, right? Except probably Murali and Regu, maybe. So what I will do is I will create an example for you guys. Okay, using SDK. I'll show you that tomorrow. So it's for Java guys, but Java is not the only one. They have SDKs for Java, .NET, Python, a lot of others. So what happens, Kiran, what it means is you don't have to deal with CLI. I know CLI is very, very straightforward, but it's limited. If you want to implement a use case like Ravi, you need much more powerful. You need to be able to code around that. Okay, so in fact, one poor man's SDK, I'll tell you. So Ravi can take these commands and he can wrap it with the shell script, right? He can write a shell script get all the commands. He can do a AWS ls and get all of the commands, and then read the timestamp on it. Okay, read the timestamp on it. Based on the timestamp, he can use some of these Unix commands and do it in a reverse chronological order. Okay, you are pretty much recreating it, but it doesn't have all the information, all the metadata that you can use it. So if you have a complicated business logic, then use your SDK. So SDK is a Java wrapper. So if you guys are using Maven or Gradle, AWS gives their own jar file. So if you go to AWS SDK Java, so they have a Maven jar file. Oh, configuring SDK Maven dependency. There you go. So com Amazon AWS Java SDK boom version. So if you pull this one, right, using AWS Java classes, you will be able to interact with S3. Does it make sense? You'll be able to create a bucket using that. You'll be able to list the contents. And once you list the content, now you write your own Java code to order them in reverse chronological order. And then take out only top 10. I'm repeating Ravi's use case here. Take only top 10 and take the top 10 and put it into, leave the top 10 in your standard, the standard bucket, but everyone else move it to Glacier. You can do all of that.
Okay, got it. So it provides an API to integrate between AWS and the SDK. This jar file.
SDK provides Java classes. Using them, all you have to do is you configure your access key ID and secret access key, and then it gives you,
access,
using the classes, pretty much you can
play it.
You can access and play you exactly. And at that point, Kiran, sky is the limit.
Yes.
Because it's up to your creativity. Because AWS provides everything. But the power doesn't lie in SDK. SDK is just a wrapper. Power lies in this, the RESTful endpoints. What they did is they architected all the AWS services as a powerful REST endpoints using the strong authentication paradigm. Okay, it's a WAUth 2 style pretty much. They have a strong authorization techniques here. So now they created just 80 SDKs. So all you have to, the reason they created SDKs is because if they don't provide SDKs, right, Kiran? So you have to pretty much code all of this one. So you have to create these signed headers on your own. So you have to code for your own HMAC SHA-256 encryption. You have to do it. Let's say 1 million people are doing it. 1 million people are duplicating the code. So rather, they provided a utility and they upload it into Maven, Maven repository. You go get it. Okay. And I'm thinking that once we talk about databases, once I show an example with the database, I'm thinking, since most of the people here in this session are Java people, I was thinking that we will create a Tomcat and an EC2 instance in a Tomcat. And then locally in Eclipse, we will create that SDK, bundle as a WAR file and ship it out to EC2 and then, play with it a bit. Good questions. Any other questions?
Is it possible to show any Python SDK, Venkat?
Python SDK. Unfortunately, I'm not too well versed with that. Let me accept it. But if you can pair with me and, offline, we have to do it some weekday. Yeah, I can. So I'll bring the AWS knowledge and you bring, good Python skills. I'm not as comfortable in Python as much as Java. That's what I'm saying. So if any of these libraries like, node package managers, for example, I don't know what you have in Python though. What kind of package managers do you guys have? I don't know. So I'll have to ask some of those fundamental questions when it comes to Python. You bring that knowledge, I'll bring this side. We can sit together, 2 hours, done. Whatever you're looking for. Or any other pairs here who want to help Ravi? Any Python, doesn't have to be experts, but do you have Python decent knowledge, Ravi? If so, we can.
Yes, yes, Venkat.
I see. Okay. Yeah, we can pair. I'll gladly. So you bring that Python side and I'll bring this side. I'll show you tomorrow. I mean, you understand, you've been to Java classes and then you've been coding in Java, right? For some time. So you'll understand that. You can definitely take it. And I will see, I know promises, okay? So because I take a long time, so. But I can pair with you one of the weekdays and solve your problem. Okay. I think that's the first part. Now I wanted to show you the power of CLI, right? So CLI, we did it from our local machine, but you can do CLI from EC2 also, from EC2 instance. Let me show you that. By the way, these 3 ways of interacting with S3 is a popular solutions architect associate question. So they don't expect you to write Java code or Python code, okay? 0, because as an architect, you don't do that. You have to know that there is an SDK option to interact with AWS S3. That's it. Okay, and there are RESTful endpoints. There are nice RESTful endpoints that you can interact directly if you really have to, but you will never have to because you always use these wrappers, either CLI, SDK. But if you have to go low level, if you're really curious about, like how I was curious, and you can install Postman and then play with it. I recommend doing it. Okay, so let's go to EC2 and let me spin up a new instance. I mean, I can even use existing, but let me go ahead and spin up a new instance. Let me terminate this guy. So my point is, I don't know which security. Okay, let me create a new security group. I'm creating a web server here. Okay, I'll call web server. Yeah, web servers. Essentially, I'm putting in a DMZ. So 22 port 22 is fine. Yeah, I wanted to give HTTP to everybody in the world. Go ahead and launch it. I guess what I'm trying to show you here is that I will log into this EC2. Okay. And then I will show you how you can use CLI. This AWS CLI utility is already installed when you use Amazon Linux. Okay, it already comes with it. You can use that CLI, you can configure an account and then you can play with it like how you played with in your local machine. So let me log in. AWS command, okay. So what we'll do is, since this machine is not configured to use any particular account, let's say S3LS, you can see that unable to locate credentials. You can configure credentials by running AWS configure. So we'll have to do this AWS configure. And then it is asking access key ID. Well, I'll use this read-only account. Oops, I got that wrong, right? Yeah. Access key ID. Secret access key. What's my region? I think it's US2. US-East-2. JSON is the format. AWS S3 LS. Okay. So this is my bucket. And now if I want to go to the bucket contents, I'll use S3:/ my bucket name. Sorry. There you go. I have AWS CLI2.mp4 and I have index.html. Okay. And now if I want to get the contents of it, /index.html. Oh, I'm doing the ls, right? So let me do a copy. AWS S3 copy. So get that index.html and put it into my local, download it. Let's take a look at that index.html. I'm using less command, but you can use anything. You can use cat. Make sense? This is my index.html. So now I need to tell you why you don't want to do this. Why you don't want to do configure your AWS in your EC2 instances. I'll show you. So let me show you. I'm in where? I'm in EC2, my home user, ls-la. It gives me the hidden commands. Take a look at this. Not hidden commands. It gives me the hidden files. All the files that start with dot are hidden, right? In Unix-like machines. So cd.aws. Go there. And now take a look at that credentials file. Less command is my favorite command. So my AWS access key ID is here. AWS secret access key is here. If I somehow get access to my access key ID and secret access key, how much security breach that could be? Pretty much I have access to all of your resources. If this access key ID and secret access key happen to be part of admin privileges, pretty much I can do anything. I'll be able to read all of your S3 contents, not just S3. If it happens to have some EC2 permissions, then pretty much you're screwed. So it's extremely bad idea to do this. Okay, it's a bad idea. Get it? Then what's the better way to do it? I want my EC2 instance to be able to interact with my S3. I want my EC2 to be able to interact with S3, and I want my EC2 instance to get S3 buckets or to be able to upload content into S3 buckets. It's a very natural use case, right? I want to be able to do that. How can I do that if I don't do a AWS configure? Well, the way to do it is, there is a concept called role. You can create a role and assign that role to an EC2 instance. And that is the right way to do it. When you assign a role, all the permissions, all the policies that are attached to a role will be assumed by your EC2 instance without you having to give your access key ID and secret access key. It will have access to your S3 or any other AWS resources. Any questions? Did you understand what I'm trying to say here? I'll show you how to do that, but any questions there? Did you understand why it's extremely bad idea to do this? So please do not do it. So there is another way. I'll show you. So I'll go ahead and terminate this guy, and I'll create a brand new instance. I really wanted to show you, right? That's why. Where is mine? Oh, security group, web server security. Okay, so let this guy come in. So now I'll go ahead and create a new role. I'll show you how to attach that role. So roles are also like users, where they will have policies attached to them, but without having any username or password. It's a logical entity that will have policies attached to it, and you will be able to give that role to anyone. Essentially, it's any AWS service pretty much. But one of the popular use cases is that you will attach that role to an EC2 instance. So let's say you have a role. That role has a policy to give complete S3 full access. Now I will go ahead and give that role to EC2 instance, and that's it. That EC2 assumes all those policies now. So that EC2 is doing on behalf of you, pretty much. So what I'll do is, so go here, select this EC2 instance, actions, instance settings, and then attach or replace IAM role. Currently, this guy has no role, okay? And I happen to have this role, S3 full access to EC2, but I'll show you. If you don't have it, create a new role, click on that guy. What are IAM roles? Are secure way to grant permissions to entities that you trust. Because you trust your EC2 instance, so you are assigning this IAM role. That is how you are granting the permissions, okay? In fact, you can give this IAM role to IAM user in another account, or application code running in an EC2 instance. That's exactly what we are trying to do here. So let's go ahead and create a new role here. And then select type of trusted entity. What trusted entity do you want to give this guy? I want to give this to EC2. EC2 and Lambdas are most popular choices if you look at it. So this is my EC2. And then what do you want to do? Well, I want to give S3 a read-only access. You know what? I'll give full access and then see. Review, and I'll call this name as, what do we call this? S3 role. Okay, S3 full role. Full access to all. So I got this role name. Allows EC2 instances to call AWS resources on your behalf, and I'm fine with that role description. Create role. Okay. Now, where are we? S3 full access to EC2. No, S3 full access role is what we just created. Select that guy. Oops. Where is this guy? Let me close this one. Where is my EC2? Let's go to EC2. We created a new role. That's what we just did now. So I'll select this guy and then say actions, instance settings, attach, replace IAM role. Now I will select S3 full access role. That's what we created. So I'm attaching this role, and this role I gave policy of S3 full access. Actually, without attaching it, first let me show you. Without attaching, let me connect to this EC2 instance guy. So currently this guy does not have any IAM role. Okay. AWS S3 LS. See, it's telling me unable to locate credentials. By default, what it's checking is either do you have any IAM role attached to this EC2 instance, or did you configure your AWS CLI? Meaning, do I have your access key ID and secret access key, or do I have a role? I don't have both. So what it's telling you is that I'm sorry, I was not able to locate your credentials. So go ahead and do the AWS configure, but we don't want to do the AWS configure. AWS configure expects us to provide access key ID and secret access key. We don't want to do that. That's not the good way to do it, right? So now what we'll do is we will assume it. So we are not doing any AWS configure, any of that. So I'll go select that guy, actions, instance settings, and attach, replace IAM role, S3 full access role, apply. That's it. Now let's go. Let's try to rerun it. There you go. When I rerun it, after attaching an IAM role to the EC2 instance, it's able to list out these buckets. And now I can do anything. I mean, you guys got it. I don't need to do this again, you know. Okay. So did you guys understand what I'm trying to do here? That's it.
Can you still access the credentials now?
No credentials.
Okay.
No more credentials at all. Okay, I got my index.html. So I'll show you that. I'm glad you asked. Okay. So we did not do AWS configure. So let's do ls-la. There's no .aws file. Did you guys see that? There is no .aws file because we did not do AWS configure. So this EC2 instance is able to talk to S3 on behalf of you as if a regular, like any other regular user. So it will be able to upload the content because this guy has a full access, right? So it will be able to upload the files into that S3 bucket, or it will be able to download it. It will be able to list the contents, everything else it can do. Like how your SDK can do it, like how your Postman can do it, like how your CLI can do it. But without having to provide any of that, just through roles. So I want all of you to kind of understand that it's one of the important aspects from the exam perspective. Okay. Any other questions?
So Venkat,
Yes.
one quick question here. So when you gave access, the full access to S3 for that particular instance, right? I mean, you attach that role to that particular instance.
No. Yes, indirectly though, but we need to understand. I want to correct you there, Ravi. I think I think your intention is correct. I think what you said is also correct, but let me repeat it. So you have your policies, right? That policy has, you have a policy called S3 full access. Whoever has that policy will get complete access to S3. On the same page? Now, I gave that policy to the role. Now, whoever you gave that role to, okay, especially AWS resources, you will not give this role to, I mean, you can give to the people also, people meaning other AWS accounts, okay, or any of the AWS services. Now, if I give that role, they will have all the policies. Okay, now go ahead. Your question.
No. So I was thinking in a different way, but I get what you mean. So why I was thinking is there is a constant rift between application teams and the sysops teams that they don't want to give full access. For example, once I give access to that particular instance, certain full access of S3 bucket role, right?
Sounds good. Okay.
So just trying to understand, but I don't really want them to go and change any additional files, or I still want to give them to make them work like whatever they're supposed to do, but I still don't want them to play around and delete other files as well in that S3 bucket.
Exactly. Create a new policy. So is there a specific bucket they can take the complete ownership on, or do they really need full access? That's the first question you want to answer. Can they survive with the read-only access? If not, can you limit your access to a specific bucket? You know what I'm saying, or no?
No, I get it. I understand what you mean. Yeah, but again, they see it's all integrated with the programs, the way they deploy services, they use Bitbucket. You know, they
absolutely. So if the code is in a couple of buckets, create a new policy and then give full access only to those buckets, and now assign that policy to the role and then give that role to your EC2 instance. That's the right way. So let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm saying here is that, so far we gave, we have utilized the read-only access, we have the full access. The AWS accounts, we did not create a real policy per se, right? So let's do that. Let's go to AWS S3, to kind of keep this discussion, to get, to take this discussion to the next level, right? So you have this guy, you have your permissions, go to bucket policy, and this is my ARN. Okay, I have Amazon S3, and this is my bucket name. Every single AWS resource, okay, will have a unique ARN, Amazon resource name. This is my ARN. So now, especially in case of S3, you can get access in a couple of different ways. You can use access control list, or you can use bucket policies. So here I can create a new bucket. Everybody can get public access. Everybody can get read-only access, or this particular user can get. I can do that. Or take the ARN here. Okay, this is the bucket ARN. Now I'll go to IAM. There are a couple of ways you can do it. So I want to show you that. Let's go to policies. Let's create a new policy. Choose a service. S3, sure. Okay, actions. Do you want to do all S3 actions? List, read, tagging, write, permission management? Yes, all S3. I understand the risks here. Okay. And the request conditions. MFA required source IP. Oh, you can do this, by the way. You can force them to use multi-factor authentication, and you can also allow saying source IP. So please give this access or allow them only if they are coming from these source IPs. Okay, you're providing an IP restriction there. Sorry, forwarding specified resources. Okay, access point, a specific bucket. See this one here? Specify bucket resource ARN for the get bucket location. Add ARN. I'm adding, I can use this bucket. Yep, there you go. This is my ARN. And then add it. Now I will say, so what I'm trying to do is, I'm giving full access, but to only one bucket, not to all the buckets. Okay. S3 full access on, let's say, HR bucket. I'm giving S3 full access on this bucket. This policy, okay. Let me search for HR. S3 full access on HR bucket. Let's take a look at this guy here. Take a look at this one. Version, visual editor, effect, allow. So I'm allowing S3 get access point, put account public access, list, create job, head. I'm giving everything. You can do put also, and resources on everything, but to this guy. See this one? I'm allowing everything on this guy. Actually, I can restrict it. For some reason, I'm giving all of this on all the resources. I don't want to do that. Let's go. Let's go. Okay, you know what? We are developers. We are not, BS. We can directly go and play with it. There you go. This is the statements. So allow all actions of S3 on this particular resource only. That's it. Review policy. There you go. Only for that particular bucket. Make sense? Save changes. That's it. So what did I do? I gave full access only to that particular bucket. Now I can go give this to a user as I showed it to you, or I can go give this to your EC2 instance, and that EC2 instance will assume this role will be able to do everything only within that bucket. Make sense? So I'm glad you asked. I wanted to show this anyway. Creating a policy, especially give complete access, but only on one bucket, not on everything. I wanted to show that. How do we do that? Using Amazon resource name. Bring that Amazon resource name. That's it. Okay. That's about all of this.
We cannot mount S3 bucket, right? No, I guess.
No. No. Because this is not an external hard disk. This is not like EFS. Okay, this is not like your volume. Okay, it's sitting somewhere else. It's beyond. S3 is beyond any of this EC2 or any of that. So you interact through a powerful REST interface. Okay, you can't do that. And before we jump into another topic, I wanted to mention about another interesting concept called Route 53. It's all about DNS and all. But before I jump on that particular topic, I wanted to show you something else. It's good from exam perspective and also in general also. So I wanted to show you that it's a simple lab kind of exercise. So let me go to EC2. Let me log into this EC2. Am I already logged in? Okay, I'm already logged in. No. So if you're inside an EC2 instance, if you're inside an EC2 instance, and if you want to get metadata of this particular EC2 instance, okay, you can make a HTTP call. You can make a HTTP GET call to one specific URL. That's call http:// I think it's 169.254.169.254/latest. Let's see. Okay. So slash, if I want to get the metadata on this particular, okay. So let me step back and talk about it. So once you're logged into EC2 instance, if you want to get metadata of your EC2 instance, okay, so you can use this curl command, curl http 169.254.169.254. This is a specific IP address that gives you the metadata based on where you're running that from. So if I ask you the metadata, it's giving me these many options, right? Let's say I want to get public host name. So all I have to do is, it's a powerful REST technique. So this is my public host name of this particular EC2. So do you want to take a look at this guy? Do you want to compare it? On the left side I have it. Sorry, let me. Okay, on the left side I have this guy here, EC2-18. On the right side, pay attention to this guy here. This is the public IP. What you are seeing here is nothing but what you're seeing here. EC2-18-188-8-64 useast2.compute.amazonaws.com. This is your public DNS name. So this is how you can get your metadata information. And this is about the public host name, right? I want to get the private IP or public IP. Let's say public IPv4 / public IPv4. So pay close attention here, 18.188.8.64. See, it gave you that. And let's say, if I want to get the security groups that are associated with this EC2 instance, I can do this, security groups. Yep, it's only attached to the web server security group. And if you want to get the local IPv4, you can get that. If you want to get the instance ID, all of this information that it's showing, instance ID, your local, where is this? Private IP. This is your private IP. So all of that information, you can get it from this URL. And the reason I wanted to show this to you guys is because when I took the certification, I remember seeing this question in the exam. And the funny part is, I was not expecting AWS to remember this, this IP here, but looks like they are expecting us to remember this. It's funny. They gave different 169.254.169.254, and then they gave they confuse you 254.169. I felt that silly, to AWS standards, but for some reason it stuck in my head that I got that question. So I wanted to show you that. This is about the metadata. Now, let me see. If I don't do a latest, what can I do here? Okay. Do I have instance identity? I can do it. This is the metadata. Yeah. Do I have anything else here? I think that's all. I wanted to show you about the metadata, and then thinking, yep, that's all. This is specifically for the exam. I don't know, they were expecting it. I'll put this together in our in my exam tips towards the end. We'll discuss that, but I wanted to show you guys this. Anything else? Okay. So let's take a quick 10 minutes break, and we'll come back and show you. Let's talk about the Route 53, what the DNS is, and you know how Route 53 works. So it's very interesting. I'm going to buy a domain for the class. It's just $12. So I highly recommend you also do it, so that you can attach it. You know, you will get to know the end-to-end picture. So what happens actually when you buy the register domain, when you register a domain, and then how you can attach it to any of these S3 buckets or EC2 instance, and you know, static IPs. So we'll talk about that. Okay. Let's take. Let's come back at 9:50. About 8-9 minutes. Thank you all. I will stop recording here so that it will go into a separate file.